Okay, so we're going to go over the rock, paper, scissors challenge from yesterday and that hopefully you're working on a little bit today. This was primarily to practice test-driven development using Sinatra and RSpec. I don't know if we'll go over the entire thing, but I want to at least get the first half of it done and allow you to ask any questions you've had as you've been working through the challenge. So we'll just get started right now. As always, we'll clone it down as soon as I figure out where my iTerm is. Why is it so small? Cool, so I'm cloning into my desktop. I'm going to CD into it. Cool. Wait, what is it? I'm using this new code editor, as you have all been seeing me and John struggle, trying to figure out.
I love it.
Yeah, you like it? You like watching us struggle?
Because it just shows you the progression of like learning something new.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
It makes me less scared.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Right. I mean, you see, I think that's a really good point. You probably see me and even more so John burning through some of these activities, right? Because we've done these things so many times. And then you see us learning something new, and we're right back where you were, right? And that is just like a constant cycle with this stuff, right? You get something new, and all that really changes is you get a little bit more resourceful about how you approach a problem. You get a little bit more confidence that, like, I am going to actually be able to figure it out. But other than that, the process is the same. So I'm glad that you're noticing that. And like, there's still a lot of things just with this code editor. This is just a program. It's not. I'm not even programming a thing. With this code editor, it's like, oh my God, I don't remember how to do this thing. You know, you're just not used to it. So, oh, but I already opened it here. See, I'm already screwing up.
I think I'm going to switch over to
Cool. Cool. So far, I'm liking it. But like I said, like anything new, getting used to it. Okay. So let's talk about what we have here. So what are we given, and where do we got to go? So we have our challenge. Let's look at the challenge real quick. Essentially, we might, you know what, we really aren't even going to look at the challenge, because what I'm going to do is we have all our tests set for us, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we are going to do test-driven development, right? We're going to follow these tests and let them inform the code that we write. So based on what the test is asking for, that's how I'm going to know what I need the app to do. And we have a general understanding. We want to be able to play rock, scissors, paper against the computer, essentially. So my first test has some basic instructions, right? So what am I expecting? I'm expecting if I make a GET request, and we have this in our describe on line 5, if I make a GET request to /play, I should see some instructions about what I should do to play rock, scissors, paper against the computer, correct? So let's get 2 tabs open here. No, where did it go? I'm gonna switch these just. No, God. Put this over here. What a mess. Okay, cool. So our tests are over here. Our actual app is over here. Oh, no, I want that back. Come back. There it is. Okay. Let's look at the tests. So something to remember, and I've heard some people are following this, some people aren't. I think some people were like, I just wrote the whole app and then I tested it. That's okay, but the philosophy behind test-driven development is we write a test, we watch it fail, then we make it pass, right? And so just in the interest of practicing that, which is a thing that I also have to remind myself to do, that's how we're going to approach this, right? So remember, when we have these X's in front of the tests, that just means that they're pending. So we can run all these tests right now, and let's just do that to make sure we watch them all like be there. So first I'm going to bundle. And remember, I'm running bundle, or I can run bundle install. Those are both the same things. That installs all my gems. They're in my gem file. Then I'm going to run BE, which is a shortcut that I have for bundle exec, but it's the same as bundle exec. Bundle exec and then rspec should pick up that I have a spec file and then go in and run my my tests. So let's do that. Cool, and it did. And it shows at the bottom that I have 10 examples. So I have 10 tests. I have 0 failures because none of them have been implemented yet. And then I have 10 pending. And that's what we expected. And if I scroll up, I can see all my pending tests. Cool, so let's implement the first one. And if I run this right now, it'll pass because it's not testing anything, right? So let's put some test code in here. And what were the 3 things, the 3 kind of stages of a test for a route like this from yesterday?
The given.
Yeah, so given.
When.
Then. I honestly don't remember. Is that the last one?
I'm not sure if it's then.
Yeah, it's then.
It's then?
Yeah,
Cool.
it's then. It is then.
Cool. So we have given, when, then. So here, I'm not really expecting that I need to give anything, right? I'm just asking for stuff. So remember, given we don't always have to do. Given isn't something we always have to supply. So here we're not going to supply a given, but when is the thing that we want to implement. We're going to say when I make a get request to /play, right? Then what? I should look this up because I can never remember the syntax. It's expect, I think, right?
Yes.
Expect, and then it's recent response.
Body,
last response.
Body.
Response. And what do I want? We're going to say dot body, right? So I expect in the body of the response, because remember, last response is a bunch of stuff, right? The HTTP request has a ton of stuff in it. It has the head, it has a bunch of metadata in it, and then it has a body, like the actual kind of content. You can think of it as like the package being delivered. And so in the body, we expect and I'm going to use, there's a bunch of different things we can do here, right? We could do to match to look for something. We can also do include is the one that I'm going to use for most of these. So I'm going to say I expect the response body to include, essentially right now, I'm going to say some instructions, right? It's got to have something in it. What will those instructions be?
It would be pick one.
Pick one. I think that's fine for right now, right? Because I'm expecting that I'm going to have I'm going to be showing my options, and the instructions that I want is just pick one of these options. That's what I need to tell my user. So this is very basic, but this is totally going to work. So we're going to run this and watch it fail. Cool. Where's our failing test? Here it is right here, right? Expected not found, meaning it did not find this route at all, to include pick one. So we know right away we don't even have this route. So our first step, now the test is telling us, right? What do we need to do? We need to stop this not found. We need to create a route so that the test can find the route, right? So that leads us to our first bit of code. So we haven't even written any code yet. We've gone through all of this. I mean, we've written our test, but we haven't really touched our app yet. All right, let's come over here. Do the word wrap here. I'm going to move our tests over just so we have some more room. And let's real quick, let's take a look at what we have in our app. So we have, we're requiring Sinatra, which will give us all our routes. We have some just boilerplate. This is how you write a route. We already know how to do that. We don't need that code. And then we have this class right here. Again, just to reiterate, normally we would not put a class inside of our routes, but because we're just building this small application and because we really want to zero in and focus on one thing with this, we're just going to put it here. So we're not requiring a bunch of extra files. We could very easily pull it out into another file and just require relative, and then we would have access to it. But for the sake of time and because it's already here, I'm just going to leave it here. We might not even get to using this class because I just want to focus on testing the routes right now. We might not even have to use this. So I'm just going to put it down here. We'll see if we get to it. Anyway, I'm going to go back to what my test was telling me. which was that it could not find the route that I was asking it to look for, which was a slash, which was a get request to slash play. So let me write that. I'm going to write a get to slash play, do, enter, end. And then what am I expecting it to return? I'm expecting the response to include pick one. What is the bare minimum I can do to make this test pass?
You could just pass in a string. Just have a string that just says pick one.
And put it where?
And put that in between line 3 and 4.
Yep, absolutely. Put it right there. So now when the user makes a get request to slash play, they're gonna get pick one back, right? Which is all I'm testing for at this point. Let's do one other thing. So now we can, we haven't even started our server yet. We don't even need to do that, right? Right now we're just letting our tests inform what we're doing. So now let's run our tests. And there we go, right here. You can barely see it. Can you see it? We have one pass. So we passed our test. So what does this tell us? A couple of things. It told us to write our route. It also tells us this might not be the best test, right? Because we've just passed it this string. Is that all we want to display? Probably not. We might want to display it a little bit with some HTML, right? Maybe we expect there to be a paragraph that says pick one or an H1 that says pick one. Ideally, we want something bigger than that. We want to give a view, right? Because essentially, as we keep building up and we keep going down, then we want to add 3 options. Here on 15, we're going to add 3 options. We know that our response is going to get bigger. So we can pull our response out and put it in a view, which is what we're going to do right now. Excuse me. So how do I make a view in Sinatra? How do I set up so that I can return some HTML without hard coding it in the route? What do I need to do?
Make a views folder.
Thank you, James. I need to make a views folder. That sounds like a great start. And why do I need to make a views folder?
It's expecting to see something in that folder.
Yeah, so when we call ERB, we'll see in a little bit, it's expecting a folder called views, right? So we have our views folder, and we want to put our response HTML in this folder. So I'm going to add a file, and let's just call it, just call it game. This will be the game, right? ERB. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we'll call it game. And then I think what I'm actually going to do here, did anybody do a pull request? All right, Michael. We're going to steal Michael's HTML so you don't have to watch me write a bunch of HTML. Is this your slash play, this one? Cool. You know what, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to go to view and then raw. Cool. Cool, and with the magic of copy and paste and stealing Michael's code, we have written our entire view. Cool, let's walk through this real quick. Looks like we have a container with this looks like Michael's instructions, which are a little bit more robust. So please pick rock, paper, scissors. And then down here, it looks like we have another container and then a link to play paper and an image that I'm assuming is paper. And then that's repeated for rock and scissors on the way down. So we have links with their images, or images wrapped in links to, I'm assuming, what you have a picture of, right? Cool. Let's just take a look at this real quick. So we've set up a few things now. And then, okay, so now what is the next thing I'm missing? One more thing, sorry. What is the other thing I need to add to this so that when I make a get request to play, I actually render that view that we just made? I want to return that HTML. How do I return that HTML?
ERB, and then the what do you call it? A game. So code. Yeah.
Cool. So just to one more time, when I make a get request to /play, it's going to run the code in this block, which is calling a method called ERB, which goes into views, grabs the file called game, and returns it. Let's start our server and see this in action. So let's see, BE shotgun app.rb, and that's going to start my server on localhost 9393. So now I can go over here. If I visit localhost 9393. Cool. So this is not working, right? Because we don't have a get to /. We have a get to /play, right? So I can just add that here. Cool. Oh boy. And now we have giant choices. Rock, scissors, paper. Cool. Are there any questions on this workflow so far? Please ask them. Because this, creating a route, rendering a view, eventually we're going to get to passing variables to the view. That is like going to be everything when John introduces CRUD this afternoon. So far, so good. Great. Let's go back to our tests and see if we can add just a little bit more to our test. Where's our test? Here we go. Cool. So we have that running. We have our first test. It's going to fail now, right? Because we have changed what our instructions are. Our actual instructions are this up here. So let's just change this. Damn it. Sorry. I'm going to figure out how to get this word wrap to stay. Okay. So one more time. When we run this test, we're not going to give it anything. The test is going to make a get request to play. Then it's going to grab the response, go into the response and grab the body, and make sure the body includes this sentence. Cool. So we should expect this to pass because we are confident that our body. All right. Obviously, that's gone. Cool. So we're still passing. Great. Let's do the next two. So what's our next one? Shows you three options. Shows you three options. So you can choose three things. So can someone walk me through how we're going to implement this one? Tristan, where am I going to start? And let's remember, so we have given, when, and what was the last one then? Cool.
So given whatever your choice was.
So given what option I was given?
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to need given on this one, actually, because I think we're just asking that we're returned three options.
So you're just being displayed your initial three options?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Then you don't need anything for given?
Mm-hmm.
And then you would need, for when, you would need conditions that are associated with each of those options.
Okay.
And
like
then,
what?
If you pick rock, scissors gets beat by rock, rock is a tie, paper is a win.
So you're getting ahead of us. You're down here where it's like it shows your choice. These are the results, right? You're absolutely right. We do want to test for that stuff. All I'm testing for here, and this is something that can be frustrating, but is also like necessary about testing, is that we're really testing like every tiny piece, and we want to test them separately, right? So notice we don't have one test where we say, and you could write this test. You could say, I expect when I make a GET request and then just to include and copy and paste the entire HTML file, right? To include this whole HTML file. But as we've seen and as we will continue to see, code is constantly being changed, updated, like bugs are being fixed, right? Styles are changing, especially HTML, right? Things are being nested in divs for all sorts of different purposes. So testing just that one thing, that test is going to pass for a day, and then someone on your team is going to change one div, and then it's going to fail, right? So that's why we want to whittle things down to like the smallest basic thing. So all I want to do here, we're still testing this view. We're still technically testing this view, right? The first test just tested line 2, basically. It needs to include instructions. It doesn't matter if it's in an H1 or an H2, right? It doesn't matter if it's at the top or the bottom of the page. We just want to make sure that it exists. So for this one, we're doing the same thing. We want to make sure that 3 options exist, that there are 3 options for the user. So where would I go from here? You can look at the one at the top too as our kind of model of how to do this.
Get paper, rock, scissors.
Yeah. So get paper, rock, scissors.
I'm just referencing the one above. I don't actually know.
Oh, okay. Well, we still are going to make a get to play. That's not going to change. Make a get. Damn it. Learn how to type. So I'm still doing the same thing. And if you can look up here too, this entire describe block, all of these routes, all of these tests are going to test this one route, right? So your describe block is going to tell you kind of what route you're testing. And then we're going to test all these different parts of it, right? When we hit that route, we expect to see some instructions. When we hit that route, we expect to see 3 options. So in then, I can basically just copy and paste this. And all I'm really changing is my include. Does that make sense? So let's see what we're actually getting. Well, we're getting back in our HTML. Where are our options here? Our options are these links, basically, right? So we have one link, and we can see that here. Refresh. So I have this giant picture. I can inspect it and see that the picture is this link, or sorry, is this image that's wrapped in this link. And this link makes a get request. It has this href, which is the route that you take when you click the link, right? Where the link goes. And it's a get request to play/paper, right? So this is play/paper for paper. I'm assuming that it's rock for rock and scissors for scissors. So we have paper, rock, scissors. Cool. So what I might do, since I want to test for these options, I could just say it includes the words rock, paper, scissors, but that's actually already up here, right? That doesn't really tell me that the user has any choices. In my mind, and I could be wrong, but my thinking on this is that I'm going to narrow it down and say the bare minimum that needs to be on the page, doesn't matter how it's styled, doesn't matter what's going on, there needs to be a link to to allow the user to play paper, to play rock, and to play scissors. Does that make sense? So there's a couple of different ways I can do this. I think what I'm gonna try, I'm not 100% sure this is gonna work, is just test that no matter what happens, there's an href on the page that goes to /play paper. Is that cool? So I know that the user is being given that option. If I go and look at my test, I am living up to what the test is asking for. It shows you the 3 options. So let's put those in here. I think I'm going to have to fix these. This is going to get annoying. Cool. And then let's copy this. And I'm pretty sure include allows you to give it a list of things if you do commas. So we're going to try that. That, comma, that. And then this one's going to be rock. This one's going to be scissors. And I actually think I'm going to have to change because it's going to look for these exactly. So I think I need to change this as well. Save these. Okay, so real quick, what did I do? Just like up here, I'm saying given nothing. I'm not going to wait to be given anything. Here, I'm going to make a get to /play. In my response body, I'm expecting somewhere in the body to find an href to play paper, an href to rock, and an href to scissors. Somewhere in there. Cool? And that lets me know that those exist. So now after all that, if this doesn't pass, I'm going to be very upset. Looks like we have 8 pending and 2 passing. Cool. Questions about this? So far, so good. Cool. Let's do one. We'll just do one more. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. Oh, this one's easy. So the last thing I want to do is, and remember, and we'll learn more about this on Friday. But when I make an HTTP request, so I'm getting back that response, it has a body, which we've tested the body a couple times. It also has a status that lets me know the status of the response, right? So did it go through successfully? Was it redirected? What are the other ones? Was there an error on the client side or was there an error on the server side, right? What 200 is my response for what? Okay, everything worked out, right? I came back successfully. So I just want to test that there shouldn't be any problems when this happens. Oops. Oh my God. Okay. This one. We'll do the same thing. Grab this. We'll just alter this one. Cool. Given, I still don't need to give it anything. I'm just making a GET request. I'm making the GET request to the same thing. This time I'm just going to test the entire response. I'm trying to remember how this one goes. Test the entire response. And I think that there's actually, what is it, is it just to be okay?
Yes.
Is it that one? Okay. Cool. So all I'm doing, okay is my 200, right? So I'm just testing that I'm getting the 200 response. And I said we should watch these fail first, didn't I? So let's just, is there like a not okay? I don't think how to do that.
I'm not sure. You can date it, just exclamation point.
Let's just see to be nothing. Or we could even say to, I think you can do to, let's just watch it fail this way. This is actually not maybe the best way to do this, but just so we can watch it fail. Cool, we have failed. It is not a thing. Add okay. And we're back to passing. Cool. Cool. All right, so I know we took kind of a long journey just to pass these 3 tests. I'm gonna go back and I just wanna reiterate a couple of important things, right? Memorizing all this syntax, not the most important thing. You can see I'm even kind of struggling with it. The idea of test-driven development and the idea of writing good tests, that's what I want you to start thinking about and practicing, right? What am I actually testing for? We could get even more specific. Maybe I do want to insist that these instructions come in an H1, right? Maybe I've decided with my team, like that's how we're going to put the instructions on the page, or they're going to be in a paragraph. In that case, I am free to add HTML elements in here, right? HTML at the end of the day, when it gets delivered, is just a string. So I can put any HTML in here. I can add an H1 here and close the tag out. and say, I'm expecting this specifically, right? Cool. So thinking about what is the bare minimum I need to get the test to pass? What is the bare minimum I've decided meets my functionality? And then how do I write a test around that? These are the things that, as we get deeper and deeper into this, you're going to see testing as its own skill, right? It could be a very difficult thing to do. You're thinking in a different way, right? Normally when we're programming, we're trying to get it to work. Testing, we're trying to anticipate how it works and how it might not work, right? We're really exercising a different part of our brain when we do it. I think that's all I wanted to hit specifically. If there's a part of this I didn't go over that someone wants me to hit, I'm happy to do that, somewhere where you got stuck or were struggling. Otherwise, I just wanted to kind of reinforce some of these ideas from yesterday. Any questions? Anything we still need to go over? No? Okay. Then I'm going to let you get back to it. Finishing this one up, there's the other one. John will be in this afternoon to introduce CRUD. That's all I got.